Happiness is a gentle thing, a quiet visitor that knocks at the corners of your heart, even when the world tells you it has no business showing up. It is not always a loud parade, not always a grand celebration. Often it is a whisper. Often it is a reminder that life, even in its moments of confusion and chaos, is still offering you something soft to hold on to. Every morning we rise is an invitation to rediscover this softness. Every breath is a small miracle that says, "You may begin again." And yet, we walk through our days carrying weights that were never meant to be permanent, believing joy is something far away, reserved only for the blessed or the lucky. But joy is not a treasure buried in someone else's land. It is a seed within you, waiting for your own hands to water it. To be happy every day does not mean to escape the storm. It means to learn the rhythm of your own reign. It means understanding that life will bring its difficult lessons, its uninvited pains, its unforeseen losses. But none of these erase the possibility of joy. You are allowed to hold hurt in one hand and hope in the other. You are allowed to feel the ache of yesterday while still choosing the promise of tomorrow. Happiness is not the denial of struggle, it is the decision to rise anyway. Every day, the world tries to tell you who you are. It assigns you labels based on your past, your mistakes, your scars, your fears. But you must not let the noise of others drown out the truth buried in your spirit. Every day, remind yourself that you are more than what happened to you, more than what was said to you, more than the shadows that follow you. Happiness takes root when you begin to speak kindly to yourself, when you stop letting the voice in your mind become your greatest critic. Talk to yourself like someone you are trying to heal. Tell yourself that you deserve peace, that you deserve rest, that you deserve the happiness you are afraid to claim. There is no shame in wanting a joyful life. No shame in wanting mornings that feel light and nights that feel safe. Happiness begins with permission, the permission you give yourself to be whole. When you rise in the morning, before the worries start crowding your doorway, place your hand over your heart and feel its insistence. It beats not because it is told to, but because life is demanding that you stay, that you stand, that you continue. And with each beat, there is a message. You are needed. Happiness grows when you understand your own value, not the value the world places on you based on what you achieve or what you provide, but the value you carry simply because you exist. You are irreplaceable. You are divine work in progress. If you ever forget that, look into the mirror and see not your reflection but your resilience. See the evidence of everything you have survived. Happiness is gratefulness dressed in humility. Every day make room for gratitude, not the forced gratitude people try to guilt you into feeling, but the kind that lives in small truths. Be grateful for the breath that carried you through the night. Be grateful for the chance to correct yesterday's mistakes. Be grateful for the people who love you in quiet ways, the ones who check on you, the ones who pray for you, the ones who hold space for your healing, and be grateful even for the ones who left, for they taught you the meaning of staying loyal to yourself. Happiness learns how to grow in the soil of gratitude, and yet gratitude alone is not enough. You must also learn the art of letting go. Happiness cannot survive in a heart crowded with resentment, bitterness, or regret. You cannot hold on to every painful memory and still expect joy to rest comfortably inside you. What happened has happened. What hurt you has already taken enough from you. Do not give it your present and your future too. Release it. Release the dreams that did not come true. Release the people who showed you their true colors. Release the pain that has turned into your identity. You are not your wounds. You are the healing after them. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means freeing your spirit from being tied to moments that no longer define you. Some days happiness is nothing more than taking a deep breath and saying, "Today I choose peace over revenge. Today I choose growth over anger. Today I choose me." Every day is a chance to choose again. And when you walk through your day, walk with intention. Happiness loves purpose. It loves direction. It loves knowing that you are choosing to live, not simply to exist. Do something each day that awakens your soul, even if it is small. Watch the sunrise and let its colors kiss your tired spirit. Sit with a cup of tea and let its warmth soften your mood. Step outside and listen to the wind tell stories older than humanity. Dance in your room even if nobody is watching, especially when nobody is watching. Write a few words in a journal. Call someone who brings light into your heart. Happiness hides in the tiny details we overlook. There will be days when your joy feels heavy, when you reach for it but find nothing but shadows. On those days, do not judge yourself. Happiness is not a straight road. It twists, it bends, it pauses, it disappears behind the hills of your emotions. But like the sun, it returns. On the days when you are too tired to look for it, let it find you. Sit still, breathe deeply. Let the world stop spinning for a moment. Let your soul unclench. You do not have to be endlessly strong to be worthy of happiness. You can break. You can fall apart. You can cry until your ribs ache. Even then, happiness will wait for you. It does not abandon those who hurt. It heals them. You must also learn to guard your peace fiercely. Happiness is delicate, and there are people who have made a habit of draining the joy out of others. Protect your energy from those who only visit you when they need something. Protect your heart from those who see your kindness as weakness. Protect your spirit from those who speak poison into your dreams. Not everyone deserves access to the deepest parts of you. Happiness grows when you stop watering dead plants, stop chasing people who do not value your presence, stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. The moment you decide to prioritize your peace is the moment joy begins to root itself in your life. Your joy will multiply when you give it away generously. Smile at strangers, not because it is your duty, but because you understand how one small kindness can change someone's entire day. Speak love even in places where love is absent. Offer compassion to those who are broken, not because you are responsible for fixing them, but because humanity becomes sweeter when compassion flows freely. When you share light, the world brightens and your own life becomes illuminated in return. But in giving to others, do not forget to give to yourself. Happiness requires balance. Pour into others, but pour into your own spirit first. Rest when you are tired. Say no when you must. Take breaks without feeling guilty. Feed your soul with the things that make you feel alive: books, music, laughter, quiet walks, deep conversations, moments of solitude. Happiness is not found in pleasing everyone. It is found in pleasing the truth inside you. Every day, return to yourself. Return to your dreams, even the ones you buried because someone told you they were impossible. Return to your passions, even if life forced you to set them aside. Return to your innocence, your curiosity, your sense of wonder. Happiness does not live only in the grown-up achievements we chase. It lives in the childlike, all we once carried effortlessly. Look at the world with new eyes. Let yourself be amazed again. When you sit with others, listen deeply. Happiness flourishes when you build connections rooted in sincerity. Speak honestly. Love freely. Forgive quickly. The world is full of people waiting to be understood, waiting to be held in moments of vulnerability. When you care for another person, you create a bridge between souls, and on that bridge, happiness walks easily. Some days, happiness comes from simply choosing not to participate in negativity. You do not have to attend every argument you're invited to. You do not have to respond to every insult. You do not have to react to every provocation. Silence can be a sanctuary. Peace can be a strategy. Walk away from anything that attempts to steal your joy. Walk away gracefully with your dignity intact, knowing you owe no explanations for protecting your heart. You will find happiness in acceptance. Accepting that some people will never apologize. Accepting that some questions will never be answered. Accepting that some chapters are meant to close. Life is not meant to be a perfect puzzle with all pieces neatly aligned. It is a mosaic of broken fragments, sharp edges, scattered colors. But when you step back, when you look with tenderness, you will see beauty in the arrangement. You will see that even the broken pieces have purpose. Happiness lives in acceptance. Do not rush your life. Do not treat time as an enemy you must outrun. Every moment has something to offer. Slow down, breathe. Let your days unfold naturally. Let life show you its lessons gently instead of forcing them through the cracks of impatience. You will find happiness in embracing the pace that feels right for your soul. And every night, as you lie down to rest, reflect not on the things that went wrong, but on the quiet victories you collected. You survived another day. You learned something about your strength. You chose kindness over anger. You forgave yourself for something old. You found one small moment of beauty. You laughed even briefly. Let these moments cradle you as you fall asleep. Happiness is a habit, and habits are built through repetition. To be happy every day, you must understand that happiness is not a destination. It is a companion. Some days it walks beside you boldly. Some days it lingers behind you quietly. Some days it must be called forward with gentle encouragement. But it is always there, waiting to be embraced. And the most important truth is this: happiness begins with choice. The world will give you many reasons to feel heavy, but you must give yourself reasons to feel light. Choose to see the good. Choose to believe in the future. Choose to trust that your life is unfolding in ways you may not yet understand. Choose to honor your spirit. Choose to rise again and again, no matter how many times life tries to break you. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of mornings that feel soft and nights that feel peaceful. You are worthy of laughter that comes from deep places. You are worthy of love that arrives without conditions. You are worthy of a life where happiness visits you not once in a while, but every single day. And if ever you forget this truth, return to the quiet spaces within yourself. There, beneath the worry, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, you will find a glow that never went out. That glow is your joy. That glow is your resilience. That glow is the promise that happiness will always rise with you. Happiness begins with choosing peace over chaos every single morning. And this choosing is not a simple act, but a quiet decision that starts before your feet even touch the floor. It begins in the moments when the world is still half asleep, when the light is soft, and your thoughts have not yet tangled themselves into knots. In those early moments, you are given a chance to shape the direction of your day. You can choose to let the noise of yesterday follow you, or you can choose to breathe deeply and invite calm into your spirit. Peace is not something that falls into your lap. It is something you deliberately welcome, something you guard, something you create with intention. Each morning gives you a blank canvas, and you decide whether to paint it with frantic strokes or with steady, gentle colors. When you awaken, there is always a temptation to rush into the world's demands. Your phone buzzes, responsibilities knock, worry creeps in quietly, reminding you of everything you haven't done, everything you must do, everything you fear. But you have more power than you believe. You can pause. You can center yourself. You can whisper to your own soul that today you will not carry stress like armor. You can choose to begin softly, to give yourself grace before the world asks for effort. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the posture you take when facing them. It is the calm breath before the storm. The steadiness you cultivate in the spaces that belong only to you. This choice becomes easier when you learn to understand your own triggers, your own emotional patterns, your own tendencies to overthink or overact. Some mornings chaos is not outside of you but within you. Your mind runs faster than your spirit can keep up, and you feel overwhelmed before the day has even begun. But you can choose peace by slowing your thoughts, by reminding yourself that you are not required to solve everything at once. You are not obligated to carry the entire weight of your future on your shoulders. You are allowed to let some things rest. You are allowed to prioritize your well-being over your worries. Peace grows when you stop fighting yourself and begin comforting yourself instead. There is a certain discipline in choosing peace, a discipline that comes from self-awareness and self-respect. You must be willing to say no to what drains you, even when saying no feels uncomfortable. You must be willing to distance yourself from people who thrive on drama, from situations that unsettle your spirit, from habits that disrupt your emotional balance. Chaos often disguises itself as urgency, but not everything deserves your immediate attention. Not every message needs a reply. Not every argument needs your voice. Not every problem needs your involvement. Peace is choosing carefully where you place your energy. In the quiet of the morning, you can decide how you want your day to feel. Not what you want to achieve, not what tasks must be completed, but how you want to feel while doing them. Do you want to move through the day being reactive, anxious, and exhausted? Or do you want to move through it grounded, intentional, and steady? When you decide that peace is a priority, the rest of your choices begin to align in surprising ways. You drink your water slower, you breathe deeper, you speak softer, you think clearer, you respond instead of react. You listen to your intuition instead of the noise around you. Everything shifts when you choose peace first. This choice also means forgiving yourself for the times you let chaos win. Some days, you will fall back into old patterns. You will rush, you will worry, you will lose your center. You will say things you regret or carry stresses you should have released. But each morning brings you another opportunity. You do not have to wait for a new week or a new year. Peace can be chosen today. It can be chosen now. It can be chosen in the middle of a moment when everything feels overwhelming. It can be chosen with a breath, with a thought, with a soft reminder that you deserve gentleness even from yourself. Choosing peace also means embracing simplicity. It means finding contentment in small things, the warmth of your tea, the softness of your bed, the quiet moments when the world has not yet demanded anything from you. It means appreciating the fact that you are alive, that you have another chance to experience joy, that you are capable of rebuilding your emotional world one choice at a time. Peace is not dramatic or loud. It is subtle, tender, and consistent. It is the practice of returning to yourself, no matter how many times you drift away. And as you continue to choose peace every morning, something remarkable begins to happen within you. The chaos that once controlled you loses its grip. You stop living in constant reaction to life and start shaping life from a place of centered intention. You begin to understand that peace is not something you occasionally feel. It becomes part of who you are. It becomes the way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you protect your heart. Every morning becomes a quiet promise you make to yourself, a promise to rise with calmness, to move with clarity, to choose peace over chaos in every way you grow lighter when you release people and moments that no longer belong in your life. And this release is not an act of weakness, but of profound courage. It is a quiet acknowledgement that your heart is not a storage room for old pain and forgotten promises. You are not obligated to carry memories that bruise your spirit, nor are you required to hold space for people who have shown you, through their actions or their silence, that they cannot walk with you into the next chapter of your life. Letting go is not about pushing others away. It is about making room for your own growth. Freeing your hands so you can reach for something better, freeing your soul so it can breathe without the weight of what once was. There comes a time when you must recognize that not every person is meant to stay. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Not every story is meant to continue. Life is a series of arrivals and departures, and some people enter your world only long enough to teach you something essential. They teach you about love, about trust, about boundaries, about self-worth, about resilience. But once the lesson is learned, the pain of holding on becomes heavier than the fear of letting go. Releasing them is an act of wisdom. It is acknowledging that your journey requires space, clarity, and emotional freedom. You cannot step into your future if your feet are tied to the past. Moments, too, must be released. Those memories that replay in your mind like an old film, those mistakes you keep reliving, those disappointments that still sting even after time has passed. You cannot be fully present in your life if you are constantly tangled in the events of yesterday. Growth demands that you loosen your grip on the stories that no longer serve you. You must allow yourself to be imperfect, to have stumbled, to have trusted the wrong person, to have stayed longer than you should have. Release the shame of your missteps. Release the guilt that eats at your peace. Release the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved. You grow lighter when you stop punishing yourself for being human. Letting go is a process, sometimes slow, sometimes painful. It does not always happen in a single moment. It happens in layers. It happens in small decisions. Choosing not to revisit old messages. Choosing not to reopen wounds by seeking closure from people who are incapable of giving it. Choosing not to entertain the memories that darken your mood. It happens when you stop expecting apologies that may never come and begin to heal without them. It happens when you stop hoping someone will change and start focusing on how you can change your own life. Each small release lightens your emotional load, making space for peace, clarity, and joy. You grow lighter when you accept that you cannot save everyone, that you are not responsible for fixing people who do not want to be fixed, that love alone is not enough to keep someone by your side. Some people leave because their season in your life has ended. Some people stay physically but leave emotionally long before you realize it. Some people love you in ways that harm you, and letting them go is the only way to love yourself. Releasing them is not abandonment. It is self-preservation. It is choosing your peace over their chaos, your healing over their patterns, your future over their past. There is a deep relief in letting go, though it may not feel that way at first. At first, your heart may resist. It may hold on tightly to memories, to hopes, to shared moments that once felt warm and meaningful. But over time, you begin to understand that releasing someone is not erasing them. It is accepting that their role in your life has changed. You can appreciate what they added to your journey without carrying the ache of their absence. You can honor the lessons without clinging to the loss. You can move forward without bitterness, knowing you did what was necessary for your own well-being. As you release what no longer belongs, you make space for new connections, healthier relationships, deeper self-understanding. You open the door for people who genuinely value you, people who respect your boundaries, people who bring peace rather than confusion. You create room for opportunities that align with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You make space for joy to return, for clarity to settle, for love to find you in its truest form. You grow lighter each time you choose yourself. You grow lighter each time you untangle your heart from someone who took more than they gave. You grow lighter each time you stop reaching for what continues to slip away. You grow lighter each time you release resentment, regret, anger, disappointment. Lightness comes from letting go with grace, from trusting that what is meant for you will not require you to cling desperately, from believing that endings are not punishments but pathways to new beginnings. And as the weight falls away, you begin to rediscover yourself, the parts of you that were buried beneath emotional heaviness, the dreams you placed on hold, the joy you once believed you lost, the strength you did not know you had. You become more connected to who you truly are, more open to what the future holds, more aligned with the peace you have been longing for. Letting go becomes an act of liberation, an act of self-love, an act of reclaiming your own life. Small daily rituals, gratitude, stillness, reflection, create a foundation for lasting joy, and these rituals do not need to be grand or elaborate to transform your life. They only need to be consistent, gentle, and honest. Happiness is not built from sudden miracles or dramatic moments. It is built from the quiet decisions you make every day, the decisions that seem insignificant at first but slowly shape your inner world. These rituals become anchors when life feels overwhelming, guiding you back to yourself, grounding you in what matters, and teaching you how to move through the world with intention rather than reaction. Gratitude is one of the simplest rituals, yet it carries a power that can shift the entire mood of your day. When you wake in the morning and allow your mind to wander only toward what is lacking, you begin your day in deficit. But when you open your eyes and choose to acknowledge even one thing that brings comfort, a soft pillow, a safe place to rest, the breath rising in your chest, you train your spirit to see abundance instead of scarcity. Gratitude does not deny hardship. It simply prevents hardship from becoming your only focus. It reminds you that beauty still exists, even when life is difficult. It teaches you to notice the sunlight on your skin, the laughter of someone you love, the strength in your body, the opportunities waiting quietly for your courage. This simple ritual softens your heart and shifts your perspective from what is missing to what is present. Stillness is another ritual, often overlooked because the world rewards noise, speed, and busyness. But your soul does not thrive in constant motion. It thrives in the moments where you allow yourself to pause. Stillness is not laziness. It is not avoidance. It is an act of listening to your breath, your intuition, your emotions, your unspoken needs. It is sitting quietly for a few minutes each day, letting your thoughts settle the way dust settles in a room once the movement stops. In stillness, you make space for clarity to rise. You begin to hear the answers your mind has been too loud to receive. You begin to recognize what drains you, what excites you, what wounds still need healing. In that quiet space, you reconnect with your truth, the truth that gets buried beneath responsibilities and expectations. Reflection is the ritual that allows you to grow. It is the practice of looking at your day, your reactions, your choices, and your patterns with honesty, without judgment but with awareness. Reflection is asking yourself what felt good, what felt heavy, what felt forced. It is noticing where your energy soared and where it dimmed. When you reflect daily, you begin to see yourself more clearly. You begin to understand why certain people affect you the way they do, why certain situations trigger old fears, why certain dreams keep calling your name. Reflection gives you insight into your behavior, your desires, and your boundaries. It helps you refine the direction of your life instead of wandering aimlessly through days that all feel the same. These rituals may seem small, but they shape your emotional landscape in profound ways. When practiced consistently, they create a rhythm of intentional living. Gratitude keeps your heart open. Stillness keeps your mind clear. Reflection keeps your spirit grounded. Together they form a sanctuary within you, a place you can return to when the world becomes overwhelming, when people disappoint you, when circumstances shift unexpectedly. They help you remain rooted even when everything around you feels uncertain. Rituals also teach you discipline through tenderness rather than force. You begin to understand that taking a few minutes each day for yourself is not selfish, it is essential. It is how you prevent burnout, how you maintain mental clarity, how you stay emotionally aligned. You learn that joy is not something you chase, it is something you cultivate. It grows slowly, like a plant nourished by consistent care rather than occasional bursts of attention. These rituals become the sunlight, the water, and the soil for your joy. As you continue practicing them, you start noticing how differently you react to challenges. You become less reactive, more patient, more thoughtful. You find yourself breathing deeply before responding, pausing before absorbing someone else's negativity, stepping back before letting stress take over. The stability created by your daily rituals strengthens your emotional resilience, giving you the capacity to handle life with grace rather than panic. Small rituals also help you maintain a connection with the present moment. So much unhappiness comes from living too much in the past or too far in the future. These simple practices pull you back into your body, into your breath, into the now. The only place where true joy can exist. The more present you become, the more beauty you notice, the more gratitude you feel, the more peace you carry. With time, these rituals stop feeling like tasks and start feeling like nourishment. They become part of your identity, part of the way you care for yourself, part of the way you honor your own existence. They remind you daily that your happiness is not an accident, but a creation shaped by your choices, your mindset, your awareness, and your tenderness toward your own soul. There comes a moment in every life when you realize that happiness is not something waiting for you at the top of a mountain or delivered to you in a golden box tied with ribbon. Happiness is stitched into the tiny folds of your ordinary day, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be claimed with both hands open. Too often, people imagine that joy hides only in grand victories or monumental achievements, when in truth it appears in the quiet hum of a morning breeze, in the warmth of a cup resting in your palms, in the simple grace of knowing you have lived long enough to witness one more sunrise. Life does not ask you to climb a ladder before you can feel grateful. It asks you to pause long enough to see what has always been standing beside you, quietly offering its light. Sometimes the world teaches you to search endlessly, to chase endlessly, to run after mirages dressed as fulfillment. But the soul grows tired of chasing what never wanted to be caught. It grows weary of sprinting past the very moments that could have healed it. Happiness does not bloom from hurry. It blossoms from awareness, from breathing deeply enough to feel the pulse of your own existence. When you slow your steps, the world reveals things you had no time to see before. You begin to notice how the trees sway as if greeting you, how laughter in the distance feels like an old friend calling your name, how the rhythm of your own footsteps creates a music you never realized you were dancing to. There is beauty in letting yourself arrive fully in the moment you are living. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, but now. The heart aches for presence. It longs for you to stop treating your life like a checklist and start treating it like a gift. You cannot touch joy if your hands are busy holding regrets. You cannot taste peace if your mind is chewing on yesterday's storms. Being present means you unclench your fists. You release the weight you were never meant to carry forever, and you allow your eyes to fall gently upon the life that is here instead of the life you imagined or the life you lost. Every day offers something worth cherishing, even the days that sting a little, even the days that leave you tired. There is a tenderness beneath every struggle, a lesson hiding in every disappointment. When you learn to look for the glimmer instead of the darkness, your spirit becomes stronger and your heart grows more spacious. Gratitude is not reserved for perfect days. It is meant to sit beside you in the hard ones, whispering reminders that you are still breathing, still capable, still becoming. When you learn to honor the smallest blessings, you discover they were never small at all. They were threads sewing joy into your spirit quietly, consistently. Faithfully, people often overlook the power of acknowledging the good that is already present. They believe happiness will arrive when life becomes easier, when challenges fade, when circumstances align in perfect formation. But happiness is not waiting on circumstances, it is waiting on perspective. The moment you decide to see what is right instead of what is missing, the moment you choose to honor what is here rather than mourn what is not, your entire inner world shifts. You rise differently. You speak differently. You walk into each day with a softness that does not come from avoidance but from understanding. There is a quiet rebellion in being grateful in a world that trains you to feel incomplete. There is courage in saying, "This moment is enough for me," even when the world insists it is not. When you practice noticing the light around you, no matter how faint, you train your heart to become a lantern. You begin to glow from within, and people will wonder how you learn to shine on days that give others nothing but shadows. They will not know that your strength came from paying attention, from choosing presence, from refusing to let the rush of life steal the sweetness of living. And so each day becomes a canvas with colors you can choose. You may wake to clouds, but you can decide to see the sky behind them. You may wake to challenges, but you can choose to notice the strength rising in you to meet them. Life will always offer you 100 reasons to frown, but it will also offer 1,000 quiet miracles waiting for your eyes to soften and see them. When you train your heart to notice these small wonders, happiness stops being something you chase and becomes something that walks beside you. There is a certain kind of peace that grows in a person when they stop waiting for life to be perfect before they decide to be happy. Too many people postpone their joy until a list of conditions is met, until the world bends itself into the exact shape they imagined. But life does not arrive fully polished, wrapped neatly in certainty. It comes untidy, unpredictable, sometimes harsh, sometimes generous, always moving. And if you spend your days waiting for everything to settle before you smile, you may look up one day and realize the moments you were meant to love have already passed you by. Happiness requires participation. It asks you to step into your own life with intention, to look for the small flickers of hope, to create warmth where there was none, to choose light even when the sky feels heavy. Every person carries a quiet reservoir of joy within them, though many never learn to tap into it. They search outside, grabbing at things, grabbing at people, grabbing at dreams that are not even their own, hoping one of them will finally make them feel whole. But joy that depends on something outside of you will always be fragile. It will tremble when circumstances change, crumble when people disappoint you, and vanish when uncertainty enters the room. Real joy grows roots inside you. It does not waver because it is not borrowed. It becomes a part of your being. Something you nurture with awareness, with appreciation, with the decision to rise each day claiming the gift of being alive. People imagine that happiness is a river that flows only when everything is calm. But often it appears in the middle of storms, in the middle of grief, in the middle of transitions that feel too heavy to carry. Joy is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of resilience. It is the ability to hold sorrow in one hand and gratitude in the other without allowing either to cancel the other out. Life will break you open in unexpected ways, but it will also offer you chances to rebuild yourself with more tenderness, more wisdom, more clarity than you ever had before. And in that rebuilding, you discover that happiness has been stitched into your survival, woven into every moment you kept going. Even when you didn't know how, there is a strength in choosing to see goodness, in training your heart to recognize the beauty scattered around you. Not the loud beauty that demands attention, but the quiet kind that lives in everyday encounters. The gentle way someone holds a door for you. The way sunlight slips between the curtains and paints your room gold. The sound of your own laughter returning to you after days of silence. These are not insignificant moments. These are reminders that life has always been trying to comfort you, to steady you, to remind you that you are still capable of being touched by grace. When you allow yourself to slow down enough to witness these simple gifts, the world becomes softer, more welcoming. You begin to realize that happiness was never a distant destination, but a collection of tiny moments you were meant to gather along the way. You learn to honor your senses, to breathe deeply, to let your shoulders relax, to feel the ground beneath your feet supporting you without complaint. You learn to take pleasure in the ordinary, and in doing so, you elevate the substance of your days. Joy becomes less of a miracle and more of a practice, something you cultivate through presence, patience, and the willingness to embrace what is already here. There is a gentleness required for daily happiness, a willingness to treat yourself with the same compassion you freely offer others. Many people move through life carrying an inner critic that is louder than any encouragement they've ever received. They speak to themselves in ways they would never dare speak to another soul. They punish themselves for mistakes, diminish their own progress, and overlook the courage it took to survive chapters that tried to destroy them. But happiness cannot grow in soil poisoned by self-neglect. You must learn to be kind to the person living within your skin. You must learn to forgive yourself for the moments you stumbled, to praise yourself for the times you stood up, to understand that your humanity is not a flaw, but a miracle. When you begin treating yourself with tenderness, something in your spirit shifts. You stop seeking validation in every passing opinion. You stop chasing approval from people who do not see your worth. You stand firmer, speak softer, move with a dignity that cannot be manufactured. And slowly, you realize that happiness begins where self-acceptance begins. The moment you stop apologizing for being yourself, the moment you begin honoring your needs, your boundaries, your dreams, your energy starts attracting peace instead of chaos. You begin to radiate a quiet confidence, a settled spirit, a glow that does not require explanation. Another truth about happiness is that it rarely thrives in isolation. Humans are woven together for connection, for sharing, for holding one another through the seasons of life. Yet not every connection nourishes you. Some people pour into you, and some people drain you. Part of cultivating daily happiness is learning to recognize the difference. You must learn which voices calm your nervous system, which hearts speak in harmony with yours, which relationships feel like home and which feel like storms. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift your spirit is not a luxury, it is nourishment. The right company expands your joy, while the wrong company shrinks it. Choose wisely, for the people you allow near your soul influence the direction of your days. The world is full of noise, full of distractions, full of demands that pull your attention away from what truly matters. Sometimes the greatest act of self-preservation is stepping away from the chaos and returning to your own rhythm. You are not meant to absorb every worry, carry every burden, or solve every problem placed in front of you. Happiness requires boundaries, not to shut the world out, but to protect the parts of you that are still healing, still blooming, still learning how to trust the sun again. You cannot be everything to everyone and still have energy left for the person in the mirror. Some days choosing happiness looks like choosing rest, choosing silence, choosing space to breathe without apology. As you move through your days with intention, you will discover that happiness is not a constant state, but a living presence that ebbs and flows. Some days it arrives fully, wrapping you in warmth. Other days it flickers softly, asking you to come closer, pay attention, listen. There will be mornings when joy feels effortless and evenings when it feels distant. This is the nature of being human. You are not failing when you cannot feel joy. You are simply living. Happiness is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to be experienced, welcomed, tended to like a garden that needs both sunlight and water to thrive. The secret lies in understanding that joy is always available, even when circumstances seem unkind. It may not shout, but it whispers. It may not dance loudly, but it sways gently in the quiet corners of your day. And if you lean in close enough, if you allow yourself to be present enough, you will hear it calling you back to the beauty of your own existence, reminding you that happiness is not something you wait for, but something you create moment by moment, breath by breath, choice by choice. There comes a deep and quiet truth you learn as you grow through the seasons of your life. And it is this: happiness is not something you find once and keep forever. It is something you must renew, nurture, and choose every single day. Too many people believe joy is a possession that, once earned, will stay rooted in their hands. But joy is a living thing. It needs tending, understanding, patience, and a heart willing to open itself again and again despite the disappointments it has seen. Every new dawn brings with it a choice: to lean toward the light or to shrink into the shadows of yesterday. And that choice, made in the small spaces of your morning, shapes the way your entire day unfolds. Happiness reveals itself to those who dare to begin again. Each day is an invitation, a whispered reminder that you are allowed to start over, that you are free to release what weighed you down the night before. People often forget that renewal does not require a calendar to turn or a new year to arrive. It happens in the quiet moments when you decide to treat yourself with gentleness. In those moments, you reclaim your sense of power. You step into a fresh version of yourself, one who is willing to receive whatever peace the world has for you. This kind of happiness is not accidental. It is crafted through awareness. It asks you to look at your own heart and listen to what it needs, rather than what the world insists you should chase. It asks you to create a life that feels like a soft place to land, even on the days when the world feels like stone. To choose happiness daily, you must learn to let go of the heaviness you were never meant to carry forever. People hold on to pain as if it were proof of something, as if their suffering validates their strength. But strength is not measured by how long you clutch your wounds. Strength is measured by your willingness to release them. The moment you let go of the weight that bruised your spirit, you create space for healing to settle in. You allow light to enter through the cracks life left behind. Forgiveness becomes less of an act you offer others and more of a gift you give yourself. When you forgive, you untie the knots in your heart. You stop dragging old chapters into the fresh pages of your present. And in that release, you discover a softness that had been waiting for years for you to notice it. Happiness also requires honesty. Honesty with yourself, with your needs, with the truth you swallow when the world demands silence. You cannot build daily joy on top of lies you tell yourself. You cannot pretend you are fine when your soul is whispering for rest. You cannot claim happiness while ignoring the parts of you that ache for attention. True joy grows in the soil of authenticity. It is born when you decide to stop performing for acceptance and begin honoring the person you truly are. When you speak your truth, even if only to your own reflection, something inside you aligns. The heart breathes easier, the mind becomes clearer, the spirit grows lighter. And in that alignment, happiness finds room to flourish. There is also a responsibility in cultivating joy, a responsibility to protect your peace like a precious inheritance. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your presence. You must learn to guard your mind from the noise that seeks to distract you, from the negativity that drains you, from the people who do not know how to hold your heart gently. You are allowed to walk away from chaos. You are allowed to choose tranquility. You are allowed to say no without feeling guilty. When you defend your own peace, you declare to the world that your well-being is not negotiable. This declaration changes the way you move, the way you speak, the way you breathe. Everything becomes more grounded, more sacred. Happiness becomes something you honor through boundaries. Another quiet truth is that joy grows in motion. You cannot wait for it to arrive at your doorstep. You must move toward it. You must step into habits and choices that nourish your spirit. Joy appears when you take a walk and let the air brush against your skin. It rises when you spend time with people who make your laughter ring like music. It shows up when you create something with your hands, when you lose yourself in learning, when you allow curiosity to lead you. The world is full of small delights, and the more you seek them, the more abundant they become. When you choose actions that lift you, even slightly, you build a life shaped by upward movement. Joy follows those who walk with intention. In choosing happiness daily, you also learn the art of patience. Too many people rush their growth, rush their healing, rush their becoming. They believe joy will appear only when they have reached some imagined finishing line. But life is not a race. It is a journey made of countless moments that cannot be hurried without losing their meaning. Patience teaches you to trust the process, to believe that your unfolding is happening exactly as it should. It reminds you that joy is not only found in arrival, but in every step, every stumble, every rise. When you embrace patience, you stop resenting your pace. You stop comparing your story to someone else's. You begin to find happiness in your own timing. There is a quiet discipline in choosing gratitude as a daily companion. Gratitude reshapes the way you see the world. It reminds you that even in your most difficult hours, there is something that held you together. It reminds you that you have been given more than you sometimes recognize. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it balances it. It does not erase struggle, but it steadies you through it. When you train your eyes to see blessings, even the small ones, you begin to shift the foundation of your life. Gratitude transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones. It teaches you that happiness does not always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it tiptoes in quietly, disguised as something simple. A warm meal, a kind word, a moment of silence, a breath that fills your lungs without struggle. These small miracles accumulate when you notice them. And the more you notice, the more joy you find waiting for you. A beautiful part of daily happiness is connection. Not just with people, but with yourself, with the world, with the rhythm of life moving around you. When you feel disconnected, joy feels distant. But when you reconnect with your body, your breath, your dreams, you begin to return home to yourself. You learn to listen. You learn to honor your intuition. You learn to walk in harmony with your own spirit. And in that harmony, happiness becomes easier to access. You stop fighting life and begin moving with it. You stop resisting change and begin welcoming growth. You stop fearing uncertainty and begin trusting that you have survived everything meant to break you. That courage becomes a source of quiet happiness. And finally, choosing happiness daily requires hope. Not naive hope, but steady hope. The kind that persists even when days are heavy. The kind that whispers to you when you feel lost. The kind that reminds you there is still beauty waiting for you somewhere in the